just talk about one concept. This time I'll be talking about one concept, which I had told you last time that there are many, many types of emotional management, mental health skills, but I'm going to talk about two of them. The last time I spoke about managing emotions, and this time I'm going to speak about a problem. I'm not too sure if I want to call it a problem, but something that comes up very often in the clinic. I've been seeing it very, very commonly. And we're also seeing, just give me a second. Yeah. We're also seeing that this problem is also sometimes causing and probably maintaining depression or causing its relapse. So it's important that we address this. And if we are able to help parents work on it, then they can prevent their children from, developing this issue later on. Many of you must have heard of it. It's called perfectionism. I don't know how many of you consider yourselves to be perfect and are, subject to this problem that we call as perfectionism. Correct? So earlier days, when people came and said, I'm perfect, I do everything perfectly, and I'm a perfectionist, it was seen as a matter of pride. But nowadays in clinics, at least for the last 10 years, we definitely know that perfectionism beyond a point is more considered more as a major problem rather than something to be proud of. Now, we have to go into the root of perfectionism. What do we mean by perfectionism? So perfectionism, when people say I'm a perfectionist, what they mean is they hold these high standards for themselves about how something has to be done, about how they have to be. And if they don't meet that standard, they become anxious. And for them, meeting those standards, they consider that perfect. Because there's no perfectionism. I cannot say if I'm perfect, my behavior is standardized for the world, right? It's only for me. So people who call themselves perfect and who are driven by doing everything perfectly, that means they will not consider something perfect unless they feel good about it. So it's their emotions, their feeling about something that decides whether they have done something perfectly or not. So this is what is perfectionism. It's highly subjective. Now, perfectionism is either self-focused or other-focused. Self-focused is when I say, I have to be perfect. Okay? Other-focused is when I say others have to be perfect, meaning they have to do something to meet my standards. If I believe that everyone has to be kind and nice and practical, and if they are not, then I become agitated because that's my standard of perfectionism and others have to follow it. Self-focused perfectionism is where I say I have these standards for myself. Most often they are unrealistic. And if I don't meet those standards, then something is wrong with me, right? So what is the root of this? In psychology, we believe, what is the root cause of this is what I mean to say. In psychology, there is a form of psychotherapy, many of you may have heard of it, which is called cognitive behavior therapy, CBT. Now, we believe that a lot of our behavior, action, thinking, emotions are dependent and come forth from some very strongly held beliefs that we have about ourselves, about life, about people, about the world. And these beliefs are so strongly held that it's very difficult to challenge them. It's, for example, let me ask you, now suppose whose name here, Chirag. Okay, I'm not putting you on a spot. I'm just generally asking you. Do you believe your name is Chirag or do you know your name is Chirag?
I know my name is Chirag.
Correct. So knowledge and knowing is one level deeper than belief. It's like intrinsic knowledge. Most of us have some beliefs which are so deeply ingrained that they're almost like knowledge. I know it. There's nothing to prove. It's like gravity. I know if I jump, I'll fall. I don't believe in gravity. I know there is gravity. Now, these beliefs are so strongly held that they influence all our decisions, our thoughts, and our emotions about ourselves, about the world, about people around it. One belief that is very detrimental to our mental health, which has unfortunately become very common, is I am not good enough. Okay, this is a very, very strongly held belief in a lot of people. I am not good enough. What does that mean? I'm good, but it's not enough. I'm good, but it's not enough. So, what is enough? What is the upper limit of that enough? There's no upper limit. There's no upper limit. So, I'm never going to feel good about myself because it's not enough. So, what happens when you hold this belief of I am not good enough? You're constantly looking to feel good about yourself. And because there is no upper limit for it, you're never content and comfortable in your own skin. And your mind becomes highly critical of all your behavior, of everything. Now, how does this belief come? What does the belief do? I will come to that later. How does this belief come? As we believe in almost every field of science, there is no one cause for anything in medicine. It's always biopsychosocial. Little bit of biology, little bit of psychology, and little bit of sociology or social culture. All of them put together create a medical or a mental problem. So my built-in temperament with which I was born, if it's already highly critical, anxious temperament, then socio is, the child rearing practices, how my parents have parented me, what they have done, that, plus the social culture. See, today you see everybody is having some motivational video. And people listen to those motivational videos. Some of them are so unrealistic that they only show a man worrying, and then after 2 minutes he's gazing into the horizon, suddenly comes up with an idea. In 2 minutes, he's all changed. Of course, they show it as 10 days of or 1 year worth of change, but they don't show the struggle. And they don't, in those motivational videos, they don't show that people fail many times and they succeed only once in the end. So all these motivational videos where people are constantly talking of transforming themselves, change yourself, better yourself. Nobody ever says just be content with yourself the way you are and start loving yourself. No motivational video ever tells that. That is okay. You're not so bad. It's fine. Just start by liking yourself the way you are first. So what happens? Culture is also today driving people to constantly monitor and criticize themselves. Monitor, detect, correct. Monitor, detect, correct. And they say you're now supposed to be, as just day before yesterday, when I was watching Instagram and that one ad came, one fellow said, never make the mistake of being satisfied with yourself. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's exactly the opposite of what we say in the clinics. That you start liking yourself the way you are. It starts with that. Correct? So that is culture. So in biopsychosocial, the social part is that culture, right? We are more interested in the psychological part because this is a parenting talk where we play an important role in building the psychological climate for our children when they are growing up. So psychologically, I am not good enough belief starts building up when at various points, either by parents or even at school by teachers or by classmates or schoolmates in the school, the child faces a lot of criticism. Like, for example, even children who have had perfect parents, they've okay, good parents, but they've faced bullying in school, or they've faced highly critical teachers in school in the formative areas, ages of their life, where even after they have done well, they have been told, they've been criticized, and there is they've been pointed out that you're good, but this you've not done. And this happens in very subtle ways. Nobody is going to go outright and tell a child, you're not good. No, we do it very subtly, and we don't do it knowingly. None of us ever want to do any of this knowingly. Correct? So we do it unknowingly. In school, if there's a lot of bullying, if the child looks a certain way, dresses a certain way, or doesn't get marks in a certain way, where he's constantly being told, you're okay, but we're still going to tease you because you're not good enough. You've not reached the point where we will say you're perfectly fine. So when there is consistent, when the child consistently faces this, either at home or at school or anywhere else where there is very subtle but consistent messages that you still have to become better, you know, and that those children very often grow up to develop this very, very strong belief. We call it core beliefs deep within their system, which says, I'm not good enough. I'm good because everybody is telling me I'm good. But at the end of it, they also somehow tell me that's not enough. You still need to do something more. I'm sorry, I have a bad throat today. So then what happens? These children, as they grow up, they decide, okay, I have to meet certain standards. Because if I have to live with myself, understand what we listen from our parents, what we hear from our teachers, from our friends consistently, that becomes our inner own voice. How I talk to myself is how my parents have spoken to me, how significant others in my life have spoken to me. That's my voice within my head. So if my voice, my inner voice starts criticizing me, my thoughts start monitoring and criticizing me all the time, I come up with these rules of I have to meet certain standards if I have to be okay with myself. So very often I come up with these unrealistic standards where I have to never fail. You know, just yesterday I was talking to somebody. I was interviewing her for something, and she said, I will never allow myself to fail. I said, why? She said, because failure is just not acceptable. My parents have brought me up as a smart person, and I cannot handle it if I fail. I said, then have you never failed? She said, unfortunately, I have. She was doing her medicine, a graduation in Ayurveda. And when she started giving her entrance for post graduation, she studied a lot. She was a good student, but she got so anxious because people told her, what if you don't get admission in good college? And she got so anxious in that entrance exam, even though she had worked so hard. She went there and she got a thought block. She couldn't answer properly and she failed the entrance exam. Failed means she got miserably low rank. So she said, I'm very intelligent. I've been a first ranker throughout. And that's when she actually got depressed and she had to be on medication. And she told me, failure is not acceptable to me even today. So I would rather not do anything than fail. So I've decided not to give my entrance exam. She said, even if I get the whisk feeling that I'm going to probably fail in these exams, I will not give those exams at all. So this was her. This is again, and she's very good at what she does. She's very good. She always excels in everything. So, but when she thinks she's not going to excel, she doesn't do it. I have another client of mine. She's a lawyer. What happened was, she is a lawyer. She studied well. She's excelled in her academics, but she's constantly anxious. Why? Because as a lawyer, if she has to draft, they have to draft these paragraphs after paragraphs, then they have to read, they have to correct. She says, I'm so anxious when I do all of that. 75% of my mind is thinking, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this. I'm not perfect. What if I fail? What if I fail? And what takes, and I freeze sometimes because I feel, what if I'm not doing a good job? And what takes half an hour for others takes me around 2 to 3 hours because half the time I'm frozen thinking, what if I make a mistake? What if I'm not as good as others? And she says, I have not gotten a promotion like others because I know I'm not doing a good job. I used to never participate in any competitions in school. Even now, if somebody says competition, I will not participate because I can't handle it if I fail. These are all extreme cases of I'm not good enough. She says, I know I'm good because I know that's why I don't want to accept failures because I know I'm good. I can be the best. But then I'm not good enough. That's not enough for me. So what is enough for you? What boxes have to be ticked for you to say it is enough? Most of them, 9 out of 10, when I ask this question, they will think, and then they will say, I don't know. I don't know. So when you don't know, how are you ever going to feel good? He says, yeah, that is why no, I'm not. If I never fail, if I always come first, if I do everything to the best, where I am the best, then I'm good enough. How that is possible? Because if there are 100 people in a room, at least 2 times you will fail because meaning not be the best, because at least Two people are going to be as good as you or better than you. Yeah, so that's not acceptable. My mind is very, very critical. And this is very common. This is not a very uncommon problem. So don't think I'm giving you some extreme cases. This is a very common problem. They may not land in the clinic with us, but in a lot of people in their head, there's constantly battling inside. And what else happens? One is they will not participate, they will not do a good job, they'll be constantly anxious. Then what happens? The other thing that happens is there is constant need to for self improvisation, constantly hearing motivational talks, constantly saying, okay, I should, constantly monitoring self, doubting self, and in the mind, you're preoccupied with how to improve yourself. So there are some people who are in this constant thing of how should I improve? I don't like this about myself. I don't like that about myself. I have to constantly be improving myself. So this excessive criticism, obsession with improving myself, not being content with the way I am. And after that, there is this feeling of insecurity that if something goes wrong, I cannot handle it because I'm not perfect. Only if I'm perfect, I'll be able to handle it. So they become anxious. All of this over a period of time leads to depression. There is a research paper that I was reading, and in that research paper, they were saying that there are depression has, it's only one research paper I've read, but it made some sense to me. Therefore, I'm going to share it. It says that, depression can sometimes, you can look at depressed people and you can categorize them into two categories. One, they are depressed because of problems in relationships and family and interpersonal relationships and environment in which they live. The other are people who their problems are largely to do with themselves, with self-concept. I'm not good enough. I'm not happy. I'm not worth it. I'm not doing well in my life. I need to improve. This depression, which is where the thinking is largely dealing with self-criticism, where they're constantly monitoring themselves and criticizing themselves all the time, this kind of depression is much, much more difficult to treat. And even though I've read this only one research paper, ideally I should have seen this at least in 10 research papers to come to a conclusion. But from my experience, I can say that when I am treating somebody who is depressed, when the depressive thoughts are largely, towards self-criticism, where there's constant monitoring and criticizing self and constantly preoccupied with improving self, those people are much more difficult to treat than those who have a healthy concept of their own self. Correct? So this is why I chose to take this up, because I am seeing this way too often in the clinic nowadays. Earlier, it used to not be so much, but in the last 10 years, this has become a common problem. And people with perfectionism, where they say, I have to meet a certain standard, it's an ongoing thing. And understand, so perfectionism also, which is self focused perfectionism, they'll say others can be imperfect, that is okay, but I cannot be. And if you figure out the logic, there is no logic. They will tell you, I know there's no logic to it, but that's what my mind says. That it's okay if others do a bad job, but I cannot do a bad job. I have to be the best. Correct? So this is so deeply driven. Right now, it may look, for those of you who don't have this problem of I am not good enough, may think this is so silly. But you know what? It is not silly. It's a real problem for a lot of people. And there are some of you yourself over here. There are 29 of you, 28 of you, excluding me. I'm sure some of you will be having the problem of I am not good enough. And this constant race to prove yourself to yourself. Okay? And which finally leads to a lot of self-doubt, self-criticism, discontent with one's own self. And if it becomes too much, and if there's a major failure in life, which is bound to happen to all of us, there's never going to be a person who's never had big failures in life. And when there is a big failure is when you become depressed, because you can't imagine that how could this happen to me? Right? This lawyer that I'm speaking of, she was okay. But then what happened? She got divorced. She had a divorce, and that brought down her mood so badly, she got depressed. It's been 1.5 years. I'm still treating her. It's becoming very difficult because it's very difficult for that thing to go. So now what do we do? What do we do for this? Correct? So I'll tell you one thing that causes this perfectionism, which where we are responsible, is where we focus a lot. One thing about perfectionists, they are not happy. They get very upset when their performance is average or ordinary. For them, if they are average or ordinary, it's a matter of shame. They somehow always have to come out as extraordinary all the time, which is not possible. How many extraordinary people can there be? Right? So they are not okay with ordinary. So if you say, but you became a lawyer, you're working in a reputed firm, you're financially independent. Yeah, but that everyone does, doc. So what do you want? Yeah, but I don't know. That's not okay enough for me. That's not enough for me. Correct? So what we have to start doing is the first thing, I'm going to introduce one concept, uh, which Krishna said. And also after that, the West has also copied it. Process oriented feedback, process oriented or effort oriented reward. See, when we criticize, right now, what is happening? When we reward results, we are rewarding. See, if you divide it in between effort and reward, results, okay? Results, a lot of a result is not in my control. I can study hard. I can ensure that I can have a calm mind and go and give my exams. These things, three things are in my control. So many other things in getting that mark is out of my control. What if there is an accident, big accident on the main highway and I can't reach my center on time? What if that day only I slip in the bathroom and I get a fracture and I can't reach? What if that day only there is a death in my family? Or there is some bomb blast somewhere, which happened during my exam? So what will happen then? What if the lady who is correcting my papers is in a bad mood? What if they enter, if, because if, see, I will write exam for 3 hours, but the correction happens in 5 minutes. I know because I have corrected papers for MUHS. So I know how papers correction happens. And I hate correcting papers. So the fact that I have to go and correct papers only used to put me in a bad mood. But because I used to feel guilty, I used to give more marks. What if that other person was not the one who gave more marks out of guilt? Correct? I used to always end up giving more marks out of guilt because I was so worried that I will give less marks because I'm irritated. So examiner's mood is high. Your marks are highly dependent on examiner's mood. Those of you who correct papers will know what I mean. So many things out of my control are my result is dependent on so many things out of my control. Compared to that, effort is largely fully under my control. If not 100%, at least 97% it is under my control. Effort. So when I am rewarding the effort versus the result, I'm telling the child, I'm going to reward you for what is under your control and what you can do. And it is okay whether you got the marks or not in the end. Your self-worth and your esteem depends on your effort. It does not depend on your results. This is what Krishna said in chapter 3, Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga. And recently, the West has come up with this on their own. But we have been told this 7,000 years ago in Dwapara Yoga only. Correct? This is Karma Yoga. Now, today, it is called effort-based feedback. Those days, it was called Karma Yoga. Okay? So effort-based feedback is where I start giving the child feedback only based on effort. And the result is not given much importance at all. So how do we do that? First, we'll see, and then we'll see what will happen when you do that. How to counter perfectionism. I am not good enough problem with this. Okay. What do we do? If a child, let us say your kid is going for a competition, let us say basketball game or swimming competition, something. And you know that he has gone every day, practice, got up in the morning, practice, really put a lot of effort. Now he gets average marks, not that he fails. he comes third, or even if he comes first, let us say he comes first. Now, generally, unknowingly, what will we do? I'm so happy you came first. And we are doing this genuinely. We are not doing it because we want to reward the result. It comes very naturally because we have also been taught to do that. And this has been done to us also. So we do it very automatically, right? So I'm so happy you came first. I'm proud of you. If you continue to do that, what happens? That somebody will be proud of me if I come first. This gets nailed into the head unknowingly. Even today for us, it's like that, right? This one second. Huh. Unknowingly, we are told it gets into our head. Results are important. I will get pat on my back. Somebody will say shabash if 1, 2, 3, at least first, second, third has to happen. Suppose what you are expected to do is, even if your child comes first focus should be on the effort. I'm so happy you participated. And you have to go in detail, not just say I'm so happy for your effort. No, you're supposed to say every day morning for the last 6 months you have been waking up at 5 o'clock. I know that for that you gave up some of your entertainment in the night and went to sleep early. You didn't want to sleep early. I forced you. We fought, but still you listened. And then you went there, you practiced, you didn't like, you even ended up getting cold in between, and then you again went. You put so much effort. Even when you fell sick, one day you said, I will go. You ensured that you put the effort. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. So you spend a lot of time focusing on the effort and in detail describing the effort. What you're telling the child is, when you're in detail describing the effort, not just saying, "Arey, bahut effort, acha kiya." No, not just that. You describe the effort in detail. You woke up at this time. For that, you sacrificed your fun playtime and went to sleep early. You went for the swimming class. The coach was rude to you. You had pain here and there, but you still went. The child, what is the child listening? The child's hearing, my mother and father were actually paying attention to my effort. They were paying attention to what effort I was putting. And they knew all this time how well I was doing. And they are so proud that I put the effort. They're so proud that I put effort. And then after that, you say, when you put so much effort, right? I'm happy that you came first. That you came first should be one side may, by the way. That should not be the first thing. The effort should be, the bulk of your appreciation should be taken by effort-based feedback, process-based feedback. And a small part of it should be, you also came first. What happens when you give these effort-based feedback to children? When they grow up, their feedback, self-feedback will also be effort-based. Their self-esteem will be based on the efforts and not on the results. Their self-concept, their self-confidence, their self-worth will be based on effort and not results. So what happens? They automatically know if I put effort, I am good enough. It's okay if I'm not the best. My mother did not want me to be the best. She wanted me to put efforts. And when we are children, when these things are told to us, it goes deep in our psyche. And we all have an inner child, which is still very much awake and alive. Every now and then it shows up, that strong feeling inside. It's like, it's nailed into our system. That effort today it is nailed, that result is important. And it happens, somebody gets 98%, arey mithai bato, 98, we call up 20 people and say 98 aaya, 98 aaya. So for that child, kya effort kiya or no use, 98 is important. For him, when he grows up also, if he does not get promotion, in spite of working hard, there will be a bout of depression, because this 98 is promotion after 10 years. The 98 will become bonus. What is my bonus? What is my appraisal? Same 98 only will continue. So the same thing is, okay, my self-effort, we are doing it our motivation behind that calling up 20 people and saying he got 98 is out of our love for the child. And we are thinking, because we have been taught this, that if I tell people and within his hearing, he will say, see, my mother is so proud, she's going and telling people. And he is proud. He's also very happy, but he registers it's a 98 that has got me this. But suppose the mother says, he put so much effort, 1 year he has fully sacrificed. We didn't go for any vacation. We didn't go out much, picnic, nothing. Whole day sitting at home, studying. I was thinking, bichara, kitna he has worked hard. That, and then, usko 98 mila. It is a complete paradigm shift that you have to bring in the way you give feedback to the child. And you have to start doing this to yourself also. Like what I said last time, only if you change can you bring about that change as a parent. So you have to start, you have to karma yoga, and then we have to practice. No, this is what Krishna has told us. You do your duty and forget the results. Then anxiety will automatically be lesser. So if now what will happen if there is effort-based feedback, first thing that happens in your child is anxiety is lesser. These children are less anxious because they are focusing on something that is much more in my control. Effort is not 100% in my control, because if I fall sick, I will automatically put less effort. But 95% is in my control. Only 5% is out of my control. Result is very largely out of my control. Almost 50% is out of my control. And if I grow up with the belief that only if you get 90 plus, you're worth it, then all the time I'm going to be anxious, because there are too many things in the universe that have to align themselves in one pattern for me to get 90. Only my effort is not enough. That anxiety will be there. Correct? So the first thing that as parents that you have to do, start giving effort-based feedback. This is the only thing you have to do. I'm only going to talk about this today. And start with yourself. Start with yourself, where you are giving effort-based feedback to yourself. So start it as a practice. Now, how will you start as a practice? You can slowly every night for yourself. Okay, first, before you sleep, those of you who are working, those of you who are homemakers, everybody works very hard. So what do? Every night, take 5 minutes and in your mind, make a list of, give yourself effort-based feedback. What effort did I put in today to make this day meaningful? Or if it's in my work, in my office, what effort have I put towards this particular project? Forget the result. Then slowly in 2-3 months, you will see that your own mental, bandwidth or your own paradigm will shift, and you will start focusing on your effort rather than your results. And your mind will give you a nice pat on your back and say, good boy or good girl, based on your effort. Your own mind will start saying that, because your feedback mechanism will change. If you've put effort, your mind will say, finally, we want that good boy, good girl from our mind. Because your mind says bad, then we get disturbed. The mind has to say, shabash, well done. That shabashi has to come effort-based, not result-based. And for children also, very consciously start doing this. Initially, if it is an older child, if your child is above 5 or 6, he will start thinking, what is wrong with my parents? Suddenly, what happened to them? Till now, they were saying result. Now, suddenly, they are saying effort. They will also wonder, because children wonder, I had once in my clinic, one child, she came, and I don't see children now, but earlier I remember some 5 years ago, she came and, after 2 sessions, after 4-5 sessions, she came and she asked me, doctor, what did you tell my mother? I said, why? She's become very different. So she's become very different. I'm finding it very weird. I told my brother also, what happened to Amma? She's behaving very oddly. So they will start, they will take them some time to register that, what has happened to my mother. All of a sudden, there is a shift. But then they will get used to it. They will get confused. If it's a teenager, they will argue with you and say, don't bring all your psychology mumbo jumbo with me. They will say something like that. So they will, because they also will suddenly think, why is this sudden? What are they testing me? Are they experimenting with me? Is this a new test that I have to pass? Teenagers will start thinking like that. that why she's suddenly changing. Am I expected to respond in some way? Is this a test? So they will ask like that. And the young ones will not know. They will get very confused, but they don't have the maturity to think beyond confusion. But in 1 month, they will settle with this new you. But you start. Start every day, very, very consciously start. And for that, no, you have to become very mindful, which is our topic next time. You have to become very mindful that you have to pay attention to their efforts. Now you will realize when you start that if you want to give feedback based, effort based feedback, you don't know what effort they have put. So what feedback will you give? Because in this mindless world, we don't pay attention to all this. We just fatafat, how much marks? 75%. Why only 75? Then he will say something. Then you say, that's why I told you, get sleep early, get up early. It will end with it. वो उसके बीच में what happened? We are only mindless. That is us. Because today we have also become like that. That's why next time we are going to learn mindfulness. Because to practice all this, we have to be mindful. So you will have to become mindful and actually pay attention to what effort your child is putting. And you may realize that the child is not putting any effort. That is another problem. Then you may say, I'm supposed to give feedback, effort-based feedback, but the kid is not putting any effort. So what to do? Some effort he must be putting, no? Otherwise, how did he pass till now? Give that, say that. Something he must be doing right. Pay attention to that and give, and reward should be effort-based. So give effort-based reward. This is the only thing I'm going to talk about today. And this is extremely important because I'm telling you the amount of problems we have in dealing with perfectionism. It is so difficult to treat. No matter what you tell them, that you don't have to be perfect. It's okay to fail. It's okay to be average. It's okay to be ordinary. And they don't even allow themselves to learn. How will you become perfect at something unless you learn? And learning means failing, failing, learning, failing, learning, failing, correcting. That's the process of learning. But then you don't allow yourself to fail. How will you learn? So you will not learn. And when you don't learn, you don't master anything. Then you not only are you just ordinary, you become below average. Then you say, see, I knew I was not good enough. This is called self-fulfilling prophecy. In my zeal and obsession to be perfect, I don't allow myself to fail. When I don't allow myself to fail, I lose on the opportunity to learn. When I don't learn, I cannot progress. Then I become below average in my performance. And then I tell people, see, I knew it, that I was not good enough. And then we are just caught in this cycle, which finally, when something very badly goes wrong in life, which goes wrong with everybody's life, when that happens, they get depressed. Then to treat that depression is difficult because psychotherapy with people who have this perfectionism problem is extremely difficult. It's very difficult. So let's not do that to our children. The world is going to give them reward-based feedback because that's how we have been taught till now. It's nobody's fault. That's how it has become. But we can take it upon ourselves that whichever child I see, I will practice Karma Yoga. How do I practice Karma Yoga? By giving effort-based feedback. And those of you who want to learn more about it, there is a psychologist, study Gita. That's first. You can study Karma Yoga chapter Gita. Our Chinmaya mission has study groups. We have many study groups in your area, plus online study groups are there. Join a study group, or specifically Gita, you can join. We have got courses. Chinmaya International Foundation has got a course, a 1-year course on mastering Gita. It's a paid course, very well taught by one of our acharyas called Swami Advayananji. He's one of the best teachers the mission has. You can go to Chinmaya International Foundation, and there you can go to courses, and one of the courses is about Gita, and you can join that course. So that's one. Two is, if from the Western world, which has woken up to this recently, one of the ladies, researchers who has done research on her name is Carol Dweck, Carol DWEC, Carol Dweck. You can go and read up her work. She has done a lot of work. Let me end it with sharing one experiment that was done on this. Okay, and then I'll end. They took a few children, about let us say 50 children, I don't know the exact sample size, and they put them in an experimental, they divided them into two groups, They gave them difficult puzzles to solve. Okay, and they saw them, and they observed them solving the puzzle, how they approached the puzzle, how they solved it. Then one group was given effort based feedback, where in detail they were told how they approached it and how they did it. And they were not told about the results at all. They weren't told whether they solved the puzzle or not, was not told to them. They were only told how much effort they put and how good their effort was or how bad their effort was. That's it. The other group was result based feedback. They were told you solved it, you did not solve it, you were average, above average, below average. They were only given result based feedback. Then they were called into the experimental laboratory after a week. Again, they were given puzzles, and this time they were allowed to choose whichever puzzle they wanted. It was observed that children who were in the effort based feedback group, they deliberately went and chose puzzles that were tougher. They were ready to take risk. Okay, they went and chose results that were difficult, puzzles that were difficult. They asked, give me tough, and they kept on increasing the difficulty, and they succeeded better because they were totally focused on the effort. They were only focused on effort. How well can I do, right? And the result ones, they specifically chose puzzles that were much easier than the ones they did last time. And they were anxious and they couldn't solve those easy puzzles also. Okay, this research has been, I think Carol Dweck has only done this experiment. I'm not too sure. You can go and check. I'm not too sure who has done it. And I'm not telling you exactly as it was done. If you want, I can share, I can look for the research paper and share it if you want, but I will have to search for it. I've read it many years ago. And but this was a research that has also been repeated, and they have always found these results. That when children are given effort-based feedback, they are ready to take up bigger challenges because effort is in their control and they say, I can do it. So that is the power of this. That's the power of Karma Yogi. Correct? I'm going to end here, and if there are any questions, you can ask. I think Sapna has put her hand up. Yes, Sapna.
Yeah, it's a very it's a very personal question in the sense that when you said it is a reward, make the reward effort based. Now, rewards these days they kind of rise higher. It's not simple rewards are not rewards anymore. So how do you judge when the effort is being put in? What kind of reward is given? Because most of the time now, because if it's an electronic world, it's
I'm not even, when I say effort-based reward, I'm not talking of material at all. I'm simply
only
talking
feedback.
about describing just feedback.
Only feedback. Okay.
Only feedback, no material reward. See, you have to remember one thing. You are bringing up the child is going to get exposed to the world. The
Yeah.
world is not going to treat the child the way you are treating your child. If you do not treat your child and give him a reality check, it's like sending him into a battle with no weapons. He will fall very badly.
Yes.
Parents have to remember this, that you're not going to be there all the time. Once they are 18, they are out. And you are not going to be able to fight all their battles. Unless you equip them with the mental tools to face the world, you're literally sending them, like in our scriptures, they say, you're made to sit on a boat in an ocean with your hands tied behind you. It's almost like that.
Thank you.
So you don't give rewards, all material rewards, no. And you know why? Verbal reward is more important. Because what you tell your children is what they are going to tell themselves when they grow up. So that is the best tool you can give. See, what is thought, self-talk? We are talking to ourselves in our thoughts. Today, half of what we tell ourselves is what has been told to us in our child. Unknowingly, that's what is happening. So if I talk to my child, I am actually molding his tomorrow's thoughts. That what better reward can I give? to my child,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Kiran Raja.
Yeah. Hariom doctor. So if I see a small child, say 5-year-old, not participating due to fear of failure, very small child, then how to deal with it and how to encourage the child?
First of all, don't push the child into it. Okay, because if you tell the child is okay to fail, in
Hmm.
their mind it is not okay to fail.
Hmm.
So you're just invalid. They are saying no, but it's not okay to fail for me. So what you're supposed to do is first you let the child talk about his failure. See what happens when somebody tells us they have a problem, whatever be the nature of that problem, we immediately go on this barrage of trying to correct the problem. Like if somebody tells me I'm scared to fail, I'll immediately start saying how it is okay to fail. Everybody fails. I've also failed. No, that is not what the kid wants. What you're supposed to tell is, tell me what is scary. Let him talk. When he talks, you will come to know what is scaring him. You may find that he is scared because people will laugh, or he's scared because he will feel that he's not good enough, or he's scared that his parents will become sad. The kid will not say my parents. The kid will very often they'll say my mother will become very sad. You know, then you have to go about correcting that cause. Because unless that cause is corrected, this fear of failure is not going to go. Then what you are supposed to do is, suppose he says, but I still don't want to practice. I don't want to do. You say, okay, chalo, you don't participate in that competition. But without competition, let us do the same thing. Let us try. Or let's go and watch it, even if you don't want to compete. And most importantly, tell the kid that it's okay that he doesn't want to participate. And it's okay that he's scared to fail. That sometimes even you are scared to fail. The child should not be scared of fear. You get my point?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because today we have been told that you should not experience difficult emotions, something is wrong with you. And if you experience difficult emotions, do something to get rid of it immediately. That's not true. Last time I told you, emotions have a very strong purpose. So you say it's okay to get scared of failure. You're not alone. Many people, even adults, get scared to fail. And if you have ever got scared of failure, tell the truth, don't lie, don't make up a story because kids figure it out. If you have also got fear of failure, tell them that, even I have this fear. So then he will know, okay, I'm not weak because I'm scared to fail. Because a child will also feel that he is this little stupid to have this failure. He should know that he's not alone. Even adults feel it. That itself will give him a lot of courage. Some misery loves company. It's not just like that. It literally loves company. If I'm in misery and I know two more people are in misery, it gives me comfort.
Hmm.
And that holds true. So when the child realizes, oh, I'm not alone in this. My mother is also scared of failure. My neighbor is also scared of failure. And many people are scared. Then they feel, okay, I'm normal. That only 20% of the fear will go away. Then the thing is, okay, how to deal with it now? This is a common problem. So I am not alone in this. I am not the weak party in this. Everybody is sailing in this boat. 80% are sailing in my boat. So let him talk. And when that child talks, and 5-year-olds can say a lot of things, you will figure out what is the fear and you'll be able to help the child. Don't push him. Don't tell him, no, it's okay to fail. Because for him, it is not okay to fail.
Hmm.
You have to respect that not okay.
Thank you, doctor.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Nagaraj ji.
See, you said to give the child a reality check. Can you explain it a little bit more?
Reality check means, there are parents, every time the child comes first, they will be gifted with something. You came first in class, some toy. You came first in this, something. So the child will start believing that every time I perform, I'm entitled to some reward. Now, this child will grow up, become one engineer, go into the horrible corporate world where he will put effort, he will win a project, he will get this. Nobody tells him anything. Instead, he gets more sucked into horrible politics. He won't be able to deal with it because there is a sense of entitlement. He won't be able to deal with it. So these things, these small actions in childhood have a very big impact when we are adults. We don't realize how much our childhood impacts our adulthood. Our childhood dramatically impacts our adulthood. And so then there are parents who never give bad news to the child. Like, for example, if they cannot afford, let us say a parent cannot afford a vacation because of some financial problems at home. This year, we cannot go on a vacation because it's expensive. If there are 4 people in that family, it's going to cost around 2 to 3 lakhs for a vacation. The father will say, I cannot afford to spend that 3 lakhs this year because it has to be invested somewhere else. Many parents are scared to give that reality check to their children. And their children grow up thinking that my father has all the money and one can never fall short of money. And somehow vacation has to happen even if there is no money. And then suddenly, when they become adolescents, they feel now they can tell the child. There are so many adolescents who will come and tell me, if my father did not have money, up till now, why was he lying to us? Now, I have gotten used to go to I've made friends who go for dinners and this. Now, suddenly he's telling I don't have money for it. And I never had money. That time your demands were small, now your demands have become big. Why did he not tell us before? I have had adolescents who have come and said this to me. They can be very intelligent, adolescents. We underestimate their capacity. This is what I meant by reality check. Like, tell them the truth. If I cannot afford it, I cannot afford it. They have to know that my parents have limited resources, which has to be distributed equally.
And also, their expecting attitude should also be curbed, isn't it?
Yes,
Isn't it?
yes,
If I
yes.
do this, I'll get something.
That sense of entitlement has to go. I don't
Hmm.
think my parents ever rewarded me every time I got some marks. It was just expected that you're supposed to get marks.
Yes.
No, nothing happened. Whether you came first or second, it was just next day was life as usual. So
Hmm.
then what happens is you become very duty oriented, that this is my duty, no special treatment is going to happen.
Yeah.
Then that sense of entitlement goes away. Yes, Shilpa has, Nagaraji, if you can put down your hand, then
Yeah.
there will
Okay.
be
Yeah.
no confusion. Thank you so much. Yes, Shilpa. I think she's not there. I think Janetri can go ahead.
Hari Om, ma'am.
Hari Om.
Yeah, as you rightly said that karma yoga, it has to be, the reward has to be effort oriented and not result oriented. But when the child enters, the corporate world, like they work somewhere or the other, and in the corporate, your appraisals and everything is result oriented. How would they get the reality check if they have been conditioned to have rewards effort oriented, and later on it becomes result oriented?
No, they will get a reality check. See, because the world is going to be result oriented. Okay,
Right.
like in the school, like if they don't get a 95%, okay, they're not going to get admission. So when they are in class, let's say class 10, you are going to tell the child, I love you because you put so much effort. But then you have to get 90 plus for admission. I don't care even if you get 25%, as long as you put effort. I'm going to buy you whatever. Let's say in 10th standard, you have decided to buy him something. In 10th standard, you can reward with some material, poor things. So you decided to buy him some, let us say something that they want. You can tell him that your reward, I will buy you that cycle only based on reward. I don't care what results you get. Fail bhi ho gaya to chalega. Even if you fail in your 10th, you get 25% and you full blown fail, I will still give you that cycle. Because my reward is only based on effort. But the world is not like that. So if you want to get good admission in a proper college, you have to get 90. Now that is up to you. So there is a correct balance, no? So what will happen is his thinking when he grows up and goes into a corporate world will be the same. That I love myself and I like myself, my self-respect, dignity, and my self-concept and worth is good because I'm putting the effort. But if I want that bonus to come next year or that, what is it called? Promotion to happen in 6 months, I have to please my boss. He'll know it. He'll know it. So the world will balance it out. But see, we are not correcting the world. What is most important is self-talk. You have to understand what we tell ourselves in our heads makes a very big difference. It doesn't matter what the world is. World has very little impact on us, as the world starts having an impact only when the mind does not cooperate. If your mind is on your side, the world does not have that kind of impact. Yes. Shilpa?
Yes, Hariam Sunita ji. Am I audible now?
Yes, very much.
So, you spoke about
So
effort-based
Shilpa Agarwal,
reward.
is it?
Yes, Sunita
Hi,
ji.
Shilpa. Tell me.
Hi, yeah. So you spoke about effort-based reward, but what to do in situation where the child, for example, has voluntarily wanting to participate in whatever some event or some competition, but then when it comes to practicing or preparing for it, the child is not putting in the required efforts, not practicing daily, or so kind of procrastinating the practice part or the preparing part of it. In that case, how do we handle the feedback? I mean, when we notice that the effort is not there, although it is something which the child wants to do, how do you deal with this kind of a situation then?
This is a very common problem, right? Where we all face, and even we have this problem as adults. We take
Yeah.
up something and then we have trouble maintaining motivation.
Yes.
So I'll answer this in two parts, one long, one short. Short is when if let us say they are not putting effort, they're procrastinating. Even then, when they get the result, right, whatever, whether they come first, whether they come second, whatever, your feedback should be based on the lack of effort. That you have not put the effort. You had fun. You were like we had that dandiya, Navratri dandiya in Mahima. You were also there. Your daughter was there. Let us say we had a competition there, and she came and she danced, and there was fun. And it's okay. She didn't get a reward. That's okay. But she had fun. You say it was great fun, no? But then you entered the competition, and uska kuch kiya nahi. No effort was put. So I'm a little unhappy about that. But it's good that you had fun. So even if there is lack of effort, feedback can be positive or negative, no? So it doesn't have to be only positive feedback. If there's no effort, you say you did not put effort, and don't bother about the results. So if there is failure, if they did not fail, you say it's okay if you didn't fail. I don't care whether you failed or passed. But I'm a little unhappy no effort was put. And in one time, one feedback, no difference is going to happen. If the child sees that consistently my mother is only focusing on effort, in 1 month you will see it in maybe not a month, but at least 6 months you will start seeing a change in that person. Because see, consistently we have been focusing on results. Now they will see that consistently the focus is only on effort. My mother doesn't talk about the result much. She's most of the time focused on the effort. Then the child will also start focusing on the effort. The child will realize mother doesn't care. First ayah, last ayah, she's only talking of effort. So then the kid will realize, okay, if I have to please my mother, I have to put effort. Because results don't seem to please her. So
Okay.
consistency will happen. First time, one time, nothing will happen. And another thing, you have to find out why a child is procrastinating. Procrastination has few mothers. One is anxiety. Anxiety, what if I fail? What if some people get anxious to start something. Anxiety always creates avoidance. Avoidance, the mother of avoidance is anxiety. That's why the mother of procrastination also. Other one is lack of discipline. See, motivation is a very unpredictable companion. It is impossible to be motivated all the time. The best of performers are not performing well because they are all the time motivated. It is not possible. Because motivation does not is dependent on too many things, biological, psychological, cultural, so many things motivation is dependent on. So it's impossible to be motivated every day. What works when motivation abandons you is discipline. Whether I'm motivated or not, I will go get up and get that thing done. That is why instead of depending on motivation, it is important to cultivate discipline. And discipline is possible only if there is high distress tolerance, which I spoke of last time. So those who have not heard that, it's available on YouTube. I think the link is there last time's topic. I think we'll end here for today because it's time up, and we will meet you in February.
Yes, 4th February.
4th February.
So thank
And
you.
that is going to be on mindfulness.
Yes.
So so I'm going to request that all of you be well rested, because mindfulness as a topic is very simple but not at all easy. It's difficult to teach also. So I also will also be struggling because it's so subtle and abstract that it's difficult to teach. Right? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sunita, for such a
Thank you.
brilliant and insightful session that we had today.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
sure
you.
everyone, all of us are going to go home and practice effort-based feedback to ourselves as well as to our children.
Yes.
Thank you once again. Thank you,
Most welcome.
all the participants, all the volunteers. And as Dr. Sunita just said, our next session on mindfulness is going to be on 4th of February 2024. Please enroll, please come, all your friends, share it with them and make them join this session. And apart from the yes, Dr.
You continue. I'll say the end.
I just wanted to say that apart from these sessions, also we are planning for various study groups that Dr. Sunita mentioned during her conversation. Uh, please visit the website and CRF website where you can find various courses on Bhagavad Gita and another course also which are going to be very useful. So yeah, over to you, Dr. Sunita. You wanted to say something.
I just want to say that our scriptures, whatever psychology teaches us, what today, everything is already there in our scriptures. Its only thing is that because it's told in ways that we don't understand today, we think it's not useful. Now, see, Karma Yoga was nothing but effort-based feedback, nothing more than that. It's simple. But when we talk about it as Karma Yoga, we feel, oh my God, it's a big thing. I can't do all of this. This is okay for Arjun, not for me. So if we learn to study our scriptures, we find that there's so many ways of self-improvement and life becomes really, really good because that same ancient wisdom is coming back today. What the West is doing research and finding, we have already found all that out 7,000 years ago. We just have to learn to translate it in a language that we understand today. Like, when Chinmaya mission was formed, when Swami Chinmayananda was one of the first acharyas to talk of the Vedas in English, because he realized that today's population does not understand Sanskrit, which is a difficult. So he said, I have to talk to them in a language they understand. Otherwise, what is the use of all our wisdom? So today there are classes conducted by Chinmaya Mission or wherever you are. If there is some other opportunity to study the scriptures, please do so because there's so much there for mental well-being. It's unbelievable the amount of wisdom that's there. So that's a request that all of you put in the effort and definitely do that. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll
Thank you.
close the session with the
Yes.
prayers. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you so much.